I think it's a skill to be able to separate their harshness and their emotions from what they're actually trying to say. Do you get what I mean?
I don't see those people as supervisors though. Those are toxic bosses. That's what I'm saying. If you don't know how to speak to a human being, you should not be a supervisor.
No, but I mean, obviously, I don't mean that they're... And I do agree with that, but sometimes people, like, it's not an option.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Some people have to stay in that position.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Apprenticeish, where we talk all about apprentices, apprenticeships, kind of.
My name's Alika.
And my name's Josephine.
And we are your hosts of the Apprenticeish podcast.
Hello guys, welcome back.
Episode 5.
I know. We're on a roll.
Crazy. So today we're going to be talking about advice for people who have just started their degree apprenticeship. Mm-hmm. Well done. You have begun a long pilgrimage, dare I say. Yeah.
It's a good thing though. Congratulations.
100%.
Congratulations.
Well done. So yeah, I guess we'll just get right into the episode. The first thing that I would say for anyone who has just started their apprenticeship is find yourself a mentor, because I feel like mentors will teach you a lot of things that you don't have to learn yourself firsthand. There are mistakes that they've already made that you don't need to repeat, basically. Yeah. And I think especially if you're a younger person, you've just finished your A-levels, or if you're going into a new industry, or if you haven't studied in a really long time, maybe you're 40 years old, you haven't studied since, 10 years or something like that, then it's good to get yourself a mentor either in your industry or in who is another apprentice, maybe in another industry. I actually, by the time this is released, I would have also put out another video about mentors and how to find one and the kind of mentor that you want, because just because somebody looks good and they have 1,000 accolades does not mean they should be your mentor.
Yeah. Also, there's a lot of information out there. Like if you're a newbie and you enter a new industry or company, everyone wants to give you advice. Even if you don't ask for it, everyone has something to say to you.
This is true.
Yeah. So having a mentor that can help you like filter through the noise is so useful. Yeah. That should be like step number 1. Like find your guide. But yeah. Another thing I would say is to be curious, which is an obvious one. But I think that sometimes there's a fear to ask questions. There's a fear of like looking silly or stupid. And I know a lot of senior people that are like, there's no such thing as a stupid question, because they're just trying to encourage you to not be shy. I feel like when you start an apprenticeship, there's a lot to cover and a lot to get through.
100%.
And people do it by asking questions and getting like connecting with people and doing things together. No one's expecting you to like do it all by yourself. So yeah, I think be curious is a really good one. Yeah.
I agree. I think even the line of, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I think the more advanced you get into your apprenticeship, there are stupid questions.
Yeah.
Like there's some foundational things that you should have learned early on, but by the time you enter year 3, you really should know some things by now.
I don't know. I feel like if you've asked a question, you've got your answer and you've applied that to your learning, then that's when it now becomes, okay, you should be asking me this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you genuinely don't know, you have the right to ask, you know?
Yeah. The only reason I say that is because I appreciate and understand let me just say, I've spoken to people who have supervisors or team members who are not so supportive, or they don't like to repeat things. And it can get really awkward if you like continue to ask things that realistically, when you first start your apprenticeship or you first join the company, these are things that you would be getting involved in or you should already know. Yeah.
It's very true.
But there are some places where I think you can just ask whenever.
You can ask questions, I guess it's more like it should be caveated with the fact that, because I don't want to say, you should know where to find information, because that's kind of specific to our apprenticeship and like the type of work we do. So if there's something that's in the policy, like on the intranet, or it's in the training document that you were given in day one, or it's in an email, if you know where to find the answer to your question, then go and use what you need to do. Use it. But if you've actually done a comprehensive look and you genuinely don't know, the internet's not telling you,
just ask.
That's like a more tailored version of be curious and ask questions.
I do think at the beginning of the apprenticeship there's so much grace. There's so much grace. Oh, I'm new. That's it's fine.
I feel like first 6 months they just want you to be like a fly on the wall. And just absorb it and soak it up. If you're trying to hit the ground running in your first 6 months, you might be a little bit disappointed, because that's how I was. I was like, let's do it. Let's get cracking. And they were just like, why don't you just read? Read, and we'll see what you do next.
The next one is to celebrate your successes, your milestones, all the things in between. If you've been listening to the podcast, you would have known that one of Josephine's previous golden nuggets was that this is a marathon, not a race. I mean, do you know what? Technically, a marathon is a race, though.
It is.
Isn't it?
It is. But
I do get.
You get it. Yeah.
A 60-meter sprint versus 5K. I don't know. Sorry, that thought just came to me. Anyway.
Is there a first, second and third place for marathons?
I don't know.
I really don't know anything about marathons.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I don't run them and I have no intention of.
I think completing them is the win.
Main thing.
Yeah. I completed the marathon.
But if you did
I came second or 52nd, because hundreds of people.
This is true.
Are doing this marathon, you know.
But if you did come first in a marathon,
would you get a medal?
I don't know, but you would be saying, I came first place in this 5K marathon.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Wouldn't you? No, well, I'm just saying, the fact of the matter is, I'm sure there is a first.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, maybe.
Anyway, we're digressing about marathon. If you run a marathon, you can let us know whether they give you a medal or something for first, second, and third place. So just making sure that you're basically just acknowledging your milestones. Obviously, first of all, the first thing you should be celebrating is the fact that you got the apprenticeship, because there are hundreds of other people who applied to be in that position at that company that you're in, and they didn't get it, but you did. So there's something exciting about you and that employers have seen in your ability to carry out the work, which indicates that you're great. And as you continue to grow and develop in your character, in your greatness, there will inevitably be wins along the way. So I would say the big wins, the small wins, finishing really big projects at work. I'm sure, at some point in your program, you will have to work on something super intense.
Yeah.
Finishing a module.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think can be very mentally draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole build up. I mean, you're recovering from the exam of the previous module, and then you're starting. You're like, oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, mocks are hitting you.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the exam is here.
Your eyes twitching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, do I need to book annual leave?
Yeah, it's a lot.
So, yeah, it's definitely a sort of rise and fall, and it's filled with adrenaline, and you need to recover.
Exactly.
And also celebrate, especially when the grade comes out and you're happy with it. You should celebrate that for sure.
Even if you're not happy with the grade, honestly, if your course is anything like ours, if you've passed, you can't retake it anyway. So yeah, congratulations.
And if you pass, you're progressing, which is a win in itself.
100%.
This is something. I mean, it's a whole different topic. But apprentices get dropped. Apprentices actually get dropped.
Yeah.
At various points.
For various reasons.
Yeah, for various reasons in their 6.5 year stint. So for you, just even if you didn't get that first or this grade that you wanted, the fact that you're passing everything, that means that you're not progressing, you're not being delayed. It's just a testament to how well you're doing, how great you are, and how you're capable of completing something that's really intense.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's a really good point. I think it's something that I hammer on in on the shorter videos on the channel, that not everyone likes their apprenticeship, not everyone finishes their apprenticeship not everyone that kind of vibe.
That's true. Apprentices get dropped, and also some apprentices drop out. Yeah. And it's, it's not given any attention to. So, yeah.
Now I see the marathon comparison. Yeah. So, sorry, just to like wrap up that point, it may be helpful for you to set mini goals throughout your program. Like, you can document yourself when you're 50% of the way through of, all of your modules, or when you feel like you're really confident in this particular skill, or I don't know, things like that. You went to a networking event at work where you're scared to like interact with people as a whole. So you can set up mini goals like that. Yeah.
But yeah, networking was a really good point. I would say network internally and externally. Both are very important. I think when you're just starting out in your apprenticeship, networking internally is obviously the first step. You're going to be working with these people for years, so you need to get to know everyone, and you need to figure out where you fit, whether that's committees, whether that is advisory boards, whether you want to join the work football club, or the girls netball club. Like, there's loads going on at companies to encourage like camaraderie. So get stuck in.
Are you on any committees?
I am on, or it used to be BAME, but now I'm on the RISE committee. Yeah. And I don't want to say too much, but I might be doing an event soon. Okay. Fine. Yeah, like centered around like advocacy for Black women. So very interested in networking with people that I wouldn't have the opportunity to work with. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And then networking in small ways, like coffees and lunches and walks. Like, even if you do 1 or 2 a month, that's still progress. Externally, they will be in your inbox. They will be in your face. And you're going to have to decide which ones that you want to attend and which ones you don't, because you cannot do them all.
It's not wise to.
Yeah. But still, get out there and meet other people at different milestones as well.
I think I would actually say for external networking events, to do it horizontally and vertically as well. So network with people who are your peers in your industry, but also go to events where maybe you don't feel qualified to go to, or therefore people who are in a higher position in your industry that you desire to connect with, because that is a place where you can like find a mentor as well. But just in terms, like, don't feel restricted to only network with apprentices or only network with, we're in law, so other lawyers. Like, you can go to, I don't know, business or a marketing event just to be around people and to build up your own, community.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I think to only network within your industry is very limiting, because let's just take lawyers, for example. Like, we also have the marketing aspect to our role. We also have a business development aspect to our role. Yeah. Tech is changing things in our industry, so we need to have that sort of legal tech. How do you use Excel? How do you use all these systems? So it's like there are lots of other industries and other roles that you can go and network with. Do you know what I mean? Outside of solicitor and barrister and judge. Do you know what I mean? So that's a really good point that you raised.
It is. And I also think, like, even if you're like a marketing apprentice, all industries need marketing. If you're an accountant, all industries need. I mean, obviously there are some, industries that perhaps may be a bit more niche. Like, not everybody needs an architect, but there are certain people in the industry who would need that. But it doesn't matter. You will still, do you get what I mean? Like, architects will still need lawyers. Yeah. Architects will still need a marketing team and accountants, etc. So
and you never know. Life is just that unpredictable.
You might even want to be, after you finish your sister apprenticeship, you might want to be an architect. How about that?
Yeah. Or what if I need an architect in like 10 years?
Yeah, that's true.
And I networked with one. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just how unpredictable life is.
That's very true.
So yeah, get out there and connect. Yeah, definitely.
So the next one is having an adaptable study routine. I know that we have the 20% off the job time, which is going to be 1 day a week. week. It could be on Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. But you don't have to fit all of your study time in that period. And for some people, especially me, I cannot, my brain it's too much information for my brain to take in one day. I split that across the week, as in after work or before work. I'll do that content. So by the time Friday comes, if I have an essay due, I'm just focusing on the essay content. It's too much trying to do everything in one day.
Agreed. It can drain you actually if you don't split it up into sort of digestible chunks. But yeah, adaptable is the perfect word to describe how you should design your study. Especially because, you know, the rule with degree apprenticeships is apprentices are entitled to 20% off of the week for study. And so, like Alika said, that is one day. And and that's the rule for 6 years. So you're not a robot. Like, does that allow for the study day that you're ill, the study day that you're in Ibiza, the study day that... Do you know what I mean? No, but like, do you know what I'm saying? Life happens.
Spain.
Jamaica, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, life happens. You're going to travel. You're going to be sick. Like we did, our first 2 years was the pandemic. Our first 2 years of our degree apprenticeship was the pandemic. I'm not thinking about my law essay when I have corona. I'm sweating.
I almost died.
I can't taste anything. Do you know what I mean? So it's about having an adaptable study routine, and always having that sort of I've forgotten the word. Perseverance is not it, but it's like when you can land on your feet in any given situation.
Resilience? No, ability to bounce back.
But in my head, there's a cat. I don't know. You know, because cat, like when you like throw a cat, they land on their feet all the time.
Agile.
Maybe. I don't think that's the word, but it's closer. It's definitely closer. Thank you.
That's okay.
But yeah, adaptable. Let's just stick to adaptable.
Okay. So yeah, I think this is especially important because what you'll come to realize as you go through your apprenticeship and just through life, like as a whole, we have spoken about how like life just happens on your program. It's not just work and study. Like you're still a human being in your community that life happens to, and life happens to the people around you as well. So I think being adaptable, not just in study and work, not just in your approach to the apprenticeship, but also being adaptable outside of that, being adaptable with your community, being open with them about how things are working in your program. I do think that at some point you will need to definitely show yourself grace. Obviously, you just spoke about the sickness and et cetera, but then also I think there's another side to it where I'm sure you'll have an epiphany or a moment of self-reflection, or, you know, that could come off of a very serious life event. Could be death. It could be, I don't know, depression or whatever. Like these are things that people go through in your program. So adaptability, we're talking about it from a time management perspective, but then also like a real life perspective is outside of the apprenticeship and what your attitude is towards life.
So the next one is professionalism. And it's just to remember to maintain it. My actual note that I wrote is behave yourself. But what I mean is when you enter this industry, you are automatically a representative of that profession. And so you will have a regulatory board, or even if your industry isn't regulated, there's going to be rule books, there's going to be handbooks, there's going to be things, codes and principles and rules that you cannot break. And that you need to abide by in order to continue your career there. And so I'm really saying protect your future self, because you don't want to make any mistakes in
anything.
In anything. You don't want to make any mistakes, anything that compromises your integrity or your morality or your reliability, because then it sort of undermines the 6 years of hustling hard and grafting for this qualification, for something to come and bite you in the bum afterwards. So that's why my note says behave yourself. like familiarize yourself with the standards.
Yeah.
And then stick to them. Obviously, we've covered this kind of in another video.
Okay.
We're doing uni versus apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I was saying how, you know, you can get drunk and there's more scope for you to be doing madness. Yeah. So I just think behaving yourself is a very, very good tip to give to first year apprentices.
Do you know, like, honestly, it's the smallest thing. And we're talking specifically about the legal industry. We are regulated by the Solicitors Regulation Authority. And in our training, when we joined the firm, and like there's also continuous training as well, it talks about, we just hear like scary cases about things that people have done, which unfortunately has caused their career to end. And one of the stories was, I think somebody was repeatedly like not paying their train tickets, or they were paying the incorrect fare intentionally. Over a period of time, and eventually they were found out, and then they got struck off, which means that you're basically banned from working in the legal profession. And I don't know, actually. I was going to say I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure. I think either one of them like just qualified after being a paralegal for many years. And someone else, I think, was already qualified for a longer period of time.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking of was quite a new lawyer.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think they were either in their training contract or they had just qualified.
It's unfortunate.
But do you see what I mean? I mean, obviously, that's very specific to law, and I feel like they hold the bar is higher. Because we're supposed to be like symbols of integrity. For the public to have faith in our profession. But it just goes to show that you could do something silly that you think, oh, it doesn't matter, it's a minor. But actually, it really does matter. And then all the hard work, all the money and resources and time that's gone into getting to where you are, it's just wiped away and destroyed just in like a click of a finger because of something as silly as not paying your £2.80 to get on your train. Do you know what I mean? So
it's avoidable.
I mean, I don't know if when you get training during your first year of your apprenticeship, whether there's going to be any fearful stories, but have a look, do some research and see what sort of disciplinary cases there are.
Even the other day, wasn't the other day, I think it was 2 months ago. So I just like to randomly read judgments for fun.
The SDT rulings?
No. This is the RCJ.
RCJ?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, right. Wait, that's not... No.
Royal
Courts of Justice. Yeah, okay. It's not the same thing. But it was for someone who was in pharmacy. I'll put the name of the case there. They're working in pharmacy. And, I mean, actually, the case it had a political undertone. But it was from a regulatory standpoint, as in, was their behaviour... Did it, like, cause a lack of trust in that profession?
Oh, wow.
It wasn't a solicitor. So I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting
in the medical profession, but
that your specific individual case is being blown up, and it's like, how does this harm the profession and how we look? So it is highly political.
Very important. Well, no, but I mean, like, the facts of the case were about literal politics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe I won't put the name of the case there.
Maybe not.
Yeah, sorry. Are you finished with that point?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So the next point is... just a be sorry. So
go on.
The next point is to just, take regular breaks. I think sometimes in first year, one could be very zealous and excited.
Hyper zealous.
I say some people were doing too much because I think we were one of them.
We were both, we were doing too much.
It was not necessary. Like, looking back, I think I definitely had way more energy then than I do now. I was 20 years old.
I'm not saying my age.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to. But the point that I'm making is, like, it's just a different time, isn't it? You can bounce off the wall then. You can sleep for 3 hours, a couple of days in a row. I don't have that energy right now. So I just think take it easy the first year, because that will be I don't know how, some apprenticeships are 3 years or 4 years, but the first year will be the easiest inevitably, because you just have less responsibility. The course content is not going to be as intense compared to your final years. So just
relax.
Yeah, ease yourself in. Like, I know sometimes I've even received a message before. Should I take an extra course outside of the apprenticeship 6 months before I start the apprenticeship?
For what?
No, but hold on. Cause
For what? Sorry, I'll hear you out. Come on.
First of all, it was an extra qualification, so he wouldn't be learning the same content again in his his apprenticeship. But it was just to, make himself seem a bit more eager. And for some people, if that's what you want to do, then that's entirely your prerogative. But I think in that kind of situation, I think it's okay to just learn the content they're teaching you when you get there.
Yeah.
And like this desire and need to stand out will be met according to your behavior during the apprenticeship program.
That's so true.
Rather than trying to be like, oh, basically I'm halfway there before I've even started.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to just learn, to like take your time.
Yeah, 100%. Don't jump the gun, because at the end of the day, like, you might be hearing phrases in your first and second year of the apprenticeship, like dip your toes in the water, fly on the wall, like those sorts of things, because it's really their job to pour into you, because you're not just learning what the industry requires of you, you're learning what the profession requires of you, and then you're learning what the specific company and the way they do things. So there's a lot to take in. So it's time, especially the first 6 months, I would say be a sponge, absorb, take notes, do some extra reading, ask some really good questions, just show that enthusiasm. Because if you're trying to jump the gun and be doing what somebody who's been here for 2-3 years, you're trying to like compete with them or do things at their level.
I'd be surprised if they even give you that work in the first 6 months.
I know, but I just feel like sometimes it's about, how strapped is the team, how busy are they, how intense are things. And if you show that you're capable of something, they're like, okay. And then they'll just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
that's true.
They're tempted to give that to you. But my point is that everything that you're asking for in terms of the intensity, the workload, the chance to shine, it's coming.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually coming.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it's coming. So it's like, why try and force it when you should really just be enjoying this time?
Yeah.
Because it will never be this... Easy is not the right word. Because it's not easy, but it's still not as hard as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take breaks.
Take
regular breaks.
And travel.
Travel a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. As much as you can, in fact. I think over time it may become harder to do so.
Yeah.
Especially when responsibility ramps up.
Yeah, 100%. And so the next point is to use the resources available to you. And I mean that on both sides, on the academic side and on the work side. So I love to say double the resources. Like a good example is mental health. You might have counselling and all these
employee
benefits.
assistance.
Yeah, all these benefits on the employee side, and then you're going to have the university and what they have to offer in terms of digital hardship and mental health advisors and stuff like that. Especially at university, I've noticed, like, we were just having a conversation with somebody that was at university a couple of years ago, saying that how nobody told her about all of the resources that were available to her at university. So sometimes I feel like you have to go and look for it. It's not until I went onto my online library and I looked at all of the databases and expensive like resources that I would not be paying for by myself that I have access to. There are careers consulting services. There are services to look at your CV and to help you on the career planning side at university. There are loads and loads of resources to take into account. There are tutoring services. Also, you need to find out what type of support and resources are available to you at work, it will differ depending on where you work. But, you know, is your employer willing to pay for textbooks or revision textbooks? Is your employer willing to pay for a tutor session before your exam? You know, you don't know unless you ask. So have a look, ask the right questions, don't be scared. Use your resources. That's me wrapping it up. Yeah.
Cool. The next one is to be bold. Mm-hmm. I think people sometimes, especially if it's their first time in the office environment or they've just joined this company or, you know, they're taking up a new position, there is a temptation to be scared.
Yeah.
We're afraid of the space, the environment, the people. It can be very overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like, I mean, there are loads of intentions behind degree apprenticeships and the benefits it has for each industry. But one of them is bringing that energy and bringing that like excitement, to a company. And so just be you and smile and be enthusiastic, because at the end of the day, I've at networking events, I mean, I shouldn't be laughing at this person, but at networking events, there'll be this like impressive person, maybe like a partner or like somebody like a big boss, and where everybody's around him and he's like, oh, do you know about XYZ? And they're all nodding their head like, yeah. And I can tell some of them don't.
No idea.
Be honest.
Yeah, confused.
Because that's actually, you're making space for good conversation, because you'll be like, no, I haven't heard about that. And then he'll explain it, he or she, sorry, will explain it to you. And so, yeah, being honest and being bold, they're just like sort of tied to each other, because you're standing authentically as yourself and you're not pretending to know like things that you know what I mean? You're not trying to impress anybody. Yeah. But just yeah.
I agree. I think as well, like I have I mean, a conversation that has frequently come up when talking about starting your apprenticeship is this idea of like dealing with imposter syndrome, like you don't belong there, especially because obviously in a university environment, most people are going to be your age mates. Even if you go to a mature uni, people are still going to be your age mates. So I think that there's sometimes like this feeling that you don't belong there. And I think in those instances, it's really, you have to be sure within yourself that you're supposed to be there and that, you know, your contribution is valuable. So even if you're in a team meeting and, you know, there's, I don't know, like maybe 5 of you or 10 of you, if somebody raises a problem, if you think you have a genuine solution, just say that. Even if you don't think like it's the most thought out solution, that's why you have other team members, so that you can bounce ideas off of each other on how that solution could potentially be achieved. I know even when I first started, or we can talk about our own experiences of when we may have felt like we were dealing with imposter syndrome or fear or something like that. But when I first started, I remember being in a few team meetings where, to me, the solution was glaringly obvious. I was like, why has nobody else said this? I can't understand. But I was too scared to speak up. And over time, in that same team, I felt more confident as like I grew my knowledge, and you know, I was asking questions outside of a group environment. And sometimes it does require, or you require yourself to take baby steps. Some people to this day, they're in the last year of their apprenticeship and they're still scared to contribute to team meetings. And so to those people, I just say take baby steps. Have those kind of interactions or those conversations outside of a group environment. Start by actually talking to your team members in a more casual fashion, and making small conversation. And then try to do that in a group environment, and then maybe ask a question about somebody else's idea, so you're not doing all of the talking, and then, you know, work your way up to being a more interactive person in the team.
100%. Because sometimes I've been in situations, if we're delving into like our own personal experiences, where I'm in a meeting and these people are like the kings and queens of this expertise. And they are fountains of knowledge in this really complex legal whatever they're talking about, and it's just all going over my head. But it's something like as simple as like, I don't know, like they want to host a client conference and they want it to be this many people and they want these arrangements in place and they don't know how that's going to be done. Do you know what I mean? So then, we need to speak to IT about that. And I'm like, you don't need to speak to IT about that. You can just like do it, click of a button. Like you can do it on Zoom, you can do it on Teams. It's easy. Or I remember being in a hearing and I split my screen. Like, you know, when you press the windows and then left or right, I split my screen. So I had what I was typing on one and
was it an online hearing?
Yeah. Online, okay. And the footage on the other screen. And like I don't know if she was either a senior associate or a partner, but she was like, how did you do that? And I'm like, oh, wow. Like something that is just second nature to me is of value to people in your teams and in your workspaces. So don't be afraid to speak up. I think that's actually a way to impress, you know, your supervisor as well. And show the attitude and the willingness, you know, to thrive.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think you have to first understand that your input is actually important and that it's not just wind, like it's actually something that's substantial and that can help solve a problem. Nobody wants somebody in the team who brings more problems than solutions. Yeah.
Side note, we should definitely have an episode about imposter syndrome because I have things to say.
Oh yeah, we can do. Yeah. I think I planned a video for that and never recorded it.
Oh, okay.
I recorded it and I hated it. Oh. So yeah, we definitely can do that.
And I think another important tip for apprentices that are starting their apprenticeship is to seek regular and constructive feedback. Yeah. The importance of feedback is
important.
A whole topic in itself. But I have learned from various conversations with just other apprentices and new starters that there is this fear surrounding receiving that feedback, even though I'm hungry for it. Like sometimes I'm like, this isn't enough. Like I just get one line, like give me my praise or give me my constructive, like how can I be better? Like I'm very, very hungry for feedback, but I've noticed that for some it's a really hard pill to swallow. So I would say familiarize yourself with that. You know, feedback is your friend. Yeah. Feedback is the tool that takes you from A to B, that develops you. And yeah, once I've done a task for the first time and I've gotten loads and loads of feedback and I even ask questions on top of that feedback.
It makes me happy.
So happy because now I can put on my portfolio of my list of achievements, or just say to myself, you know how to do a letter of advice, you know how to draft a witness statement. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's just so important for the growth mindset that you need to be successful. Yeah. So
I agree.
Feedback.
So important. Like it's so interesting because I even had a conversation with my supervisor last week. Excellent at giving feedback. And it was on a witness statement. And this kind of witness statement I have not drafted before. Okay. So I was expecting it to be trash. And it actually wasn't too horrid. Yeah. But obviously there's things that I could have improved on. And it came back with all of this red pen and it was in track changes. Yeah. So which is like a feature on a Word document where you can see people's updates. I was so happy.
Really?
I don't know what it is about receiving a document back with track changes.
This is like...
It brings me joy.
This just shows how geeky we are. It actually shows how nerdy we are. I'm so happy to see track changes. I mean, I would be happy to. Yeah. To be honest with you. Yeah.
Because then when you go to do the same thing again, you now have a list of things that you will not be taking into the next document. Yeah. So you're always getting better. You're always... improving, growing. That's the growth mindset thing. Yeah. Why do you think that people are so against feedback? Because there's obviously another side to it. People can feel very offended.
I think there is a whole myriad of reasons. Yeah. But one thing I have noticed is an inability to separate between criticism of self and criticism of the work.
Oh, so they take it too personally.
which makes no sense. And even if, I don't know, even if you're put in a position where you've made a mistake and it's impacted the rest of the team, and you're getting maybe like a scolding or like this shouldn't have happened sort of situation, that to me is still a detrimental like piece of the puzzle for your learning and for you becoming a great architect or a great banker or great lawyer.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to say emotional resilience, but there does need to be this ability to see that unless the person is talking to you like you're complete trash and they have no manners.
Yeah.
If the constructive criticism is directed at the work, I don't think you should, put your work, your first attempt on a pedestal and you feel like, oh, it's been ripped to shreds. No, they've taken your work and they've turned it into something that can actually be given to a client. Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's you're helping me. But for others, you're not that. They're not going to take it that way.
Yeah.
I
do. Do you know? This may actually be a toxic response, so you can correct me here. No, honestly, because there are some supervisors, and I'm hoping that this is not for anybody who's watching, who are very poor at communicating what they are trying to say. Yeah. And so it can come across very personal, or it can come across very condescending. Their own communication skills are poor, maybe mixed in with emotions. Maybe they're stressed out and they're taking it out on you, which honestly, as an adult, I have seen so many times, like just in the workplace, just even like with family members, with other people I've interacted with in the office environment outside of the apprenticeship setting. It's very easy to interact, it's very possible to interact with a supervisor who is like that. Now, I think it's a skill to be able to separate their harshness and their emotions from what they're actually trying to say. Do you get what I mean?
I don't see those people as supervisors though. Those are toxic bosses. That's what I'm saying. If you don't know how to speak to a human being, you should not be a supervisor.
No, but I mean, obviously I don't mean that they're... And I do agree with that, but sometimes people, like, it's not an option. Some people have to stay in that position. If you do have a supervisor who is a bit harsher in their communication, or who doesn't know how to communicate with an apprentice effectively or encouragingly, I think there is also still a skill of being able to separate emotion from, because even after the apprenticeship, you can be working in the corporate environment, you're likely to interact with people who just don't know how to communicate. So
I don't know if this is microaggressive.
I think it's a life skill. It could be though.
No, as in what I'm about to say. I don't know if this is microaggressive, but if somebody who's talking to you in the wrong way, if it's not like to the extent that you would report this, or you would say, actually, sorry, don't speak to me like this. If it's just like, oh, somebody's being prickly today, then I'm more inclined to think they're going through something. Yeah, that's fair. And so it could be. Yeah, and so I don't, unless I'm feeling it, like somebody's actually done something to, like to go out of their way to try and harm me or harm my psyche or whatever, my mental health. I just feel like if they're going through something, then I'm probably just going to stay away from them. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Like I don't want to say accommodate them, but I'm thinking if this person is in a bad mood, then I'm not going to be sending emails like, oh, how do you feel about this? I'm literally just going to like collect everything that I need to get her or his input on and go for like 45, like schedule a meeting for 45 minutes and just get it all out of the way. Yeah. And then like leave. Like I don't want to be... That's fair. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, you shouldn't have to upwardly manage your supervisors. Yeah. The supervisors that put their hand up and say, I want an apprentice, should be trained and equipped to do so. Yeah. But yeah, if you are in that unfortunate situation, then you will have to accommodate.
We'll figure out a way to... the point that I'm making is sometimes you won't receive feedback in a way that is normally digestible, and there's a skill to separate the emotion from the feedback.
Yeah. And not concern yourself too much with why or how or where it's coming from, I guess. Yeah.
Anyway, now we have the scenario,
which I don't have.
Oh yeah. So if you have a scenario or a dilemma or a situation that you would like us to answer, please send an email to apprenticeish@gmail.com. That is apprenticeish@gmail.com.
So this is from a uni student studying law. Hi, I've seen your video about dropping out of uni to do a degree apprenticeship in law. I am a month or so away from finishing my first year, but I'm not enjoying it and I want to drop out. Do you think I would still be able to do a degree apprenticeship even though I've almost completed my first year? Would it be wise to drop out even though I haven't secured an apprenticeship? Do
you want to
answer? There were two questions, wasn't it? So the first one was, should I do an apprenticeship even though I finished my first year? There's nothing stopping you. I did like 2 years, 2.5 years actually, at uni, traditional uni, before I started my apprenticeship. So yeah, there's nothing stopping you, but apprenticeships are very competitive.
Yeah.
So if you haven't secured one, you're taking a risk.
You can still apply now, no? If she's in first year.
There's nothing stopping her from applying and then maybe dropping out.
Yeah. The first few months of her second year.
The longer she stays. So if she doesn't drop out before September, then she
wouldn't be able to anyway. Apprenticeship applications don't open until...
True, but all I'm saying is that every September that goes by is another 9.5k that of student debt that you're entering to add to, do you know what I mean? And if you're receiving like maintenance grants and maintenance loans and stuff like that. So all of the you have to keep an eye on the student debt that you're accruing.
Yeah.
While you're taking time to make this decision. But there's nothing stopping, It's people that have graduated from, like, they've done their 3-4 years of law school.
Yeah.
They're a graduate of law. When they're asking, can I do a solicitor degree apprenticeship? That's when it's like, no, you're not eligible.
I think we're laughing though because it's so obvious to us.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. You already have your law degree. You can't then do a solicitor apprenticeship.
Yeah. You have to graduate apprenticeship.
To qualify.
Yeah. So, but it's very she raised an interesting point about I'm not enjoying it because traditionally in law schools, in every law school in the country, your first year is full of the foundational legal knowledge. So, the modules that you can't escape. So land, tort, contract, those types of modules. So if you're not enjoying the actual content, then that is a cause for concern because that's the only way.
Okay.
If you're not enjoying the content and it's enough, your dissatisfaction is enough that you want to leave university, then it's a cause for concern. But if it's something you can just stomach it because you're gonna do it, you're gonna study it and do an exam in your law degree, and then you're gonna also do it for the SQE, and then you're done with it. You can just go and work wherever you want, aviation law or whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like, yuck, I don't want to do this, then that's concerning because you're going to have to do it in your apprenticeship as well.
Yeah. I think it is important to figure out what it is that you don't like about doing the uni law degree because obviously, as you just said, like you're still going to have to do the degree apprenticeship you're still going to have to do your law degree during your apprenticeship. So... if it is the learning style that you don't like, or if it is the fact that, financially it's not good for you or something like that, it's worth considering doing a degree apprenticeship. I think there's no harm in making applications for degree apprenticeships if you're already thinking I want to drop out after first year. I would also say that the degree apprenticeship experience isn't easier than uni. It's just different. It still comes with its own thing. And I think, I don't know, I'm hesitant to say, drop out of uni, even though I dropped out after 3 months. You dropped out in your second year. So like we've both had experience. Uni is very different to doing a degree apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But it comes with its own challenges that, I don't know, maybe some people aren't willing to go through. So I think I'd probably just identify what it is you don't like about the traditional law degree experience.
Yeah.
And then if the degree apprenticeship solves that problem, then make an application.
You need to think about it logistically. And this is making me think of a LinkedIn post that I did when I was approached by somebody in their second year of law school who wanted to drop out and do an apprenticeship. And yeah, I'll link that in the description box. But basically, logistically, there's a lot to think about in terms of the time, the money. And I think the first step in thinking about all of this and figuring all of this out is, what don't you like about that's a really, really key question. Because if it's like, oh, it's too theoretical, I want to do practical, fine, you know, find an apprenticeship. But if it's I take issue with the content.
But even then though, Joe, because you're not, even though it is super theoretical at uni, even in the apprenticeship, we are not doing practical stuff in every single module. There's only a few modules that we do at work that make it practical. That's practical application.
Yeah. But in terms of practical learning, I'm saying that in an apprenticeship, this is specific to our university in particular, the questions that we get assessed on are problem-based. So, you know, they give you all that textbook reading, but you don't, essentially you don't need it if you know how to be a solicitor in this situation and advise a client in this situation.
I see what you mean, yeah.
You're not expected to be going into all these theories and philosophy books and critical analysis books. You know, like jurisprudence, critical legal theory. These are things that people might not enjoy, and they
seem like, really interesting.
They are really interesting. As a philosophy nerd and a religious studies nerd and all of that, I did really enjoy jurisprudence. But anyway, going back to the original point, I think that figuring out what you don't like, specifically what you don't like about your law school journey so far, is very key. 100%. Yeah.
I think the second question as well, was would it be wise to drop out even though I haven't I haven't secured an apprenticeship? Yes. Would it be wise to drop out even though I haven't secured an apprenticeship? Yes. Oh no, is it wise?
No.
Sorry, no.
That's why I come off shut.
I promise you literally just saw a real life reflection of what it looks like to have dyslexia. I did not read the sentence. I read it out, but my brain didn't read what it said. Do you get what I mean?
You said it with conviction. So I was like,
that's what I'm saying. Read it again. Oh, God deliver me. Okay, would it be wise to drop out even though I haven't secured an apprenticeship? No, it's not wise.
No, it's not wise. Don't listen to the elite girl 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, she's dyslexic and needs help. This is why you read out the scenarios, because I'm struggling.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
No. I was going to say, you know, the only reason if I was in your position that I would try and drop out before second year starts is not to incur that extra debt. But I'm like, if you did the UCAS application and got the place at university, there is a part of you that was, I'm understanding that was willing to incur all of that debt anyway.
Yeah.
And to go down that route. So I feel like stay on a journey that is leading you to your goals until you land on another one.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You know, if this was, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, my answer might be different, but now they're so competitive. It's crazy.
There is literally zero guarantee that you will get an apprenticeship for like 2 years, 3 years in a row of making applications. I think some people get it immediately. Some people it takes a year. Some people it takes 2 years. Are you willing to have that delay without completing your law degree? I just think because you're still in your law degree era time frame, you're still able to develop and progress in your legal career without a repercussion of not finishing because you're continuing on in the degree. Whereas if you drop out with nothing secured, you haven't made any applications, it is very risky. I think it's worth considering if you want to drop out after you get accepted, because what you could do is, and it obviously depends on your learning provider, is continue to study up until, you know, your next exams if you really wanted to, and just be exempt from doing the same things in your apprenticeship program. Does that make sense?
Like transferring credits over. But this is why I say there's that logistical element, because even if you're transferring your credits over, yes, you don't have to sit maybe the first 3 or 4 exams.
Yeah.
But you still have to wait until your cohort has
caught up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're just not in uni.
Yeah.
For that time.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring your graduation date any closer towards you.
This is true.
You know?
Things to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, now we have the golden nugget. I cannot believe I fumbled. Oh God.
Yes.
Fumbled.
Drop out right now.
Okay, so we are about to go into our golden nugget section, which is where we give a golden nugget, piece of advice, one liner or whatever. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, mine is sort of the theme of what I've been saying in this video, which is show enthusiasm. So showing enthusiasm for your tasks, for opportunities, for basically everything that comes your way, will attract more. Will attract more blessings, more opportunities, more promotions. So yeah, show enthusiasm.
My golden nugget is to document your journey. Obviously, we have a YouTube channel, and also you guys listening on the podcast. I'm sure our conversations now are going to be very different to the conversations we have in 6 months from now. But also, you know, a lot of people use LinkedIn to document their progress and achievements, etc.
Myself included.
Yeah, so I think there's so many different ways you can document your journey, but I think having the ability to look back and see how far you've come on your journey can be very helpful when you are struggling in a moment of,
well, isn't it?
See your growth. So that is all from us today, team. Thank you so much for watching, and we are or listening for our listeners.
We forget that, don't we? Yeah.
We are so excited to have you back next week, and we'll see you then.
See you later, guys.
Bye.